Hello, and welcome back to the 20th Century Dude channel. If you're tuning in today, you've probably heard in the news that the company LG is now going to stop producing Blu-ray players. Now, honestly, before I read into it, I feel like this is a terribly bad, awful idea. This is definitely going to hit probably not only just the average consumer, but just physical media collectors in general. You're basically just stabbing us in the gut, is what you're doing. I get that many consumers are going directly to streaming. That's how they're getting their entertainment, whether it be movies, TV shows, or maybe like a YouTube live stream, anything like that. But I feel like regardless, this is really just we are putting nails in the coffin for physical media when we really wouldn't need to. And believe it or not, physical media sales did spike a little, I think, last year. Not a huge amount, but there were an increase in sales. Regardless, let's look at this situation. Flat Panels HD reports that LG has ended production of its Blu-ray player series, which includes the UBK80 and 90 models. With limited stock available, prospective buyers should act quickly to secure the last remaining units before they are sold out. So if that's the case, then should we expect LG players like the ones you find at like a Walmart or a Best Buy or anything like that? Should we expect them to possibly disappear in a couple years if that's the case? After Samsung and Sony's departure for physical media, LG was also one of the last major manufacturers of Blu-ray players, which it probably adds to why this is also such a big stab in the gut. The pace of innovation slowed down, as did the frequency of newer models, and to no one's surprise, LG has decided to exit the Blu-ray market per reports. Now, this also brings up a question for me. They are quitting making Blu-ray players. Does that also constitute for DVD as well? I mean, obviously, we can look at the sales for DVD and Blu-ray and the 4K disc. Unfortunately, 4K doesn't sell as much. It's mainly the people who mainly buy it are basically the collectors, or if you want, the fancy steelbook on your shelf or whatnot. The average consumer is probably not going to be picking up a 4K, especially if we consider the price. Like, if somebody's going Christmas shopping, chances are they're probably going to walk out with, like, I'm going to guess 12 DVDs, whereas for that same price, maybe they'd be walking out with 3 4Ks, uh, more than likely. So that probably adds to why people aren't picking up 4K as much. They're not going to be buying, especially a different kind of player for the 4K format. Blu-ray does better than the 4K format as far as sales are concerned, but Blu-ray also has been around a lot longer as well, which also probably helps in that market. And then, of course, DVD probably is the physical media format that has probably sold the most outside of VHS, of course, because VHS and DVD are probably some of the most successful formats of all time as far as legacy, recognizability, usability for that matter, because they were both very practical for their time. More people use them for any other format. More people actually use VHS than any other format because the most movies have been put there, and the same could be said for DVD. It was very user friendly. So I mean, we can even like look at the sales. The sales sometimes are not good for the 4K, but the sales should be decent for Blu-ray, which makes me wonder why they're like pulling a plug. And again, does that mean they're also gonna be pulling a plug on DVD, despite DVD's still continuing success? Blu-ray players aside, even physical discs are at risk of extinction. Last year, Best Buy quit its Blu-ray and DVD business following market trends, which, in case you haven't noticed in Best Buy lately, there's not really a whole lot of physical media, or any physical media out for that matter. Admittedly, consumer sentiment has shifted towards the more mainstream and hassle-free digital media experience. Seems hassle-free for now, but I still think streaming is not the way to go if we want, watching movies or sports or anything like that. I don't feel like that's the wisest and best decision. Companies naturally follow consumer trends. Likewise, it did not take much foresight to predict the eventual sunset of physical media. The report mentions that LG Korea didn't exactly confirm the firm's withdrawal from the Blu-ray market, opening the door for a potential comeback if demand increases. As it stands, production has ceased and an inventory is expected to run dry shortly. So I don't know if that means for all of us, we need to be like stocking up on as many LG players as we could find. Maybe that means I should be going out and hunting for a 4K player while I have the chance, because not that I'm going to be bringing one in the house right now, but the ones I were looking at were a LG model, and now I probably should be reconsidering or going out to get them now. So, not that I'm recommending for any of you on a budget to go do this, but if you need to go pick up like half a dozen of these players or something just in case you ever need them, I don't know if this is what it's coming to. The ramifications of this change are profound, but only for enthusiasts and not the general public. We'll wait a couple years and see if the general public is going to be impacted by this or not, which I believe they probably will. This brings up the topic of digital ownership, where your rights to the media you purchase can be taken away at any time, which again is why I don't feel like streaming should be the go-to for watching movies. It's always nice to have the physical reference of something you own. But if you no longer own that and you can't find what you're looking for, or something like The French Connection, where classic is edited to death for the modern audience, because there's something in there that certain companies or the elite class doesn't want you to see, then that's going to pose you a problem, and then we wonder why history is probably going to get screwed up at some point. Last year, Sony removed all Discovery content from users' libraries, content they bought. Again, you don't own it now. Luckily, the decision was reversed later on, but it still highlights how fragile ownership is nowadays. When you purchase something digitally, you merely obtain a license to use said product, not outright ownership. Another prime example was the crew from Ubisoft, delisted from Steam and made completely inaccessible even though it had a single-player mode. Despite its evident drawbacks, physical media is not tied to a remote server, giving users more freedom and a true sense of ownership. Again, I feel like this is why a nice physical reference of whatever movie or TV show, or maybe if you have a a recorded tape of a random Pensei game from 1999, and something you can go back to. And the problem is with LG now deciding that they're going to withdraw from making Blu-ray players, this is adding a nail to the coffin where there really shouldn't be a nail in the coffin for this sort of thing. I feel like, making these physical media formats, whether it be players or movies, they should keep that going for as long as possible. Because, there are going to be the people that come and pick these things up, but we can't just, assume that, nobody is. So we're just going to, stop making these things. Which makes me worried, because, how do we know in 10 to 20 years, and then they're going to be going off their DVD, you can't have DVDs anymore, we're going to stop making them. So if they theoretically wanted to do, I don't know, Deadpool 4 or something, for example, 10 years from now, typically in a few months, we could pick it up on Blu-ray and DVD. Well, what are we going to pick up then if they're going to, stop making these things? Are they that determined to say you have to go to Disney Plus and watch this then? I don't think so. No, thank you. That, and I feel like if what I would call the online apocalypse should hit, if we lose connections to online, records, or, the internet or anything, or we can't connect the Wi-Fi because stuff just goes out, we got to have something to go back to. So, again, please collect physical media and collect as much as you can. Collect every movie and TV show that you love, or even just sort of like, right? Pick it up so you have a reference to go back to. So just in case, for whatever reason, the world goes dark, in a way, we have something to entertain ourselves with. So it's not just collect physical media just because you like collecting it. Maybe as a collector, you just, like having something on your shelf. There's a good chance, again, if the world were to go dark, we got to have something to look back onto. Also think about it, are these things sort of historical documents? in a way. So I'm gonna use an example here. I have Godzilla minus one here on a Blu-ray. It picked up last month. You might look at it, it's like, okay, it's just another, Godzilla movie. Okay, but what can this movie tell you about, the time it was made in, how it was shot, the special effects or the culture around it? What can this movie tell you about even, the history of Japan? It takes place in post-war Japan, right? Think of these things almost as historical documents. It might not be the equivalent of something like the U.S. Constitution or the British Magna Carta or anything like that, but these can tell us something about our culture, our planet, in a way. We should not discard these, right? These are a historical document, and we can learn something like this. We can watch it and be entertained, sure, but there is something also to learn from this, right? Same as I'm about to watch one of the Lethal Weapon sequels, right? From the 90s. It's a 90s action movie. What can this movie tell us about our culture, our American culture at the time, or the action movie genre at the time, or film cinema for that matter? Or we even want to look at, what does that tell us about Mel Gibson's or Danny Glover's film careers during the 80s and 90s, right? What can films inform us of? And I feel like if we continue just to discard physical media, we are going to lose a sense of that. Uh, and then we're going to lose a part of our history in a way. Not just, cultural history, but also, film history. Again, this is why I also think it's a bad idea. Because if we stop making these players, then people are going to be on the hunt years from now, hunting down these players, and maybe they won't be able to catch them all. And it's companies again like uh, LG and Sony, Samsung. I'm sorry, all of you companies, you are making a huge mistake by doing this. So please reconsider. Otherwise, that's all I have for today. Thank you for tuning into 20th Century Dude. Despite the bad news that I provided, but I hope we all learned something out of this, and hope you have a very nice weekend. See ya.